Hello, listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the Awards Watch Podcast, episode 219. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade. Joining me is everybody from last week, Erik Anderson, our editor-in-chief.
Deja vu.
Yes, and Dan Bayer.
Hello.
Continuity at the Awards Watch Podcast. Look at us. Look at us. We're going to talk about these BAFTA winners that happened today, since we did a little bit of predicting last week. We'll do a little bit more predicting this week, because we're going to talk about SAG and PGA and the Indie Spirits, also known as the Filled Twitter Awards. We'll talk about those here in a little bit. But we got to talk about BAFTA up at the top. It's a big day at BAFTA. Erik wrote the piece that's up on the website, and it was a big day, obviously, for Oppenheimer. It won 7, including Best Film and Director and Best Actor. And then right behind it was Poor Things, winning 5, including Best Actress for Emma Stone. It was also a big day for The Zone of Interest, and a couple surprises along the way, including some wins for The Holdovers and American Fiction. Some movies that also went home with a goose egg were Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Barbie, Saltburn, and of course, Erik's favorite movie of the year, All of Us Strangers. Just had to say that right there. BAFTAs, nobody saw BAFTAs live because BAFTA just loves to not show their telecast. And so we were all getting it basically off of Twitter updates, which is the most infuriating, I think.
Thank you, Erik.
Thank you, Erik, for updating us.
I'm pretty sure no one at BAFTA actually saw it live either. They were also on a tape delay.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works either in real time. But yeah, Erik was live tweeting it. So thank you, Erik, for covering all that. Erik, you saw the winners come in. So basically, off of these winners, and there have been, I guess, already leaked footage, or maybe it's already premiered some of the speeches online that are on Twitter at this point.
I don't know if you could call it leaked footage when it came from BAFTA.
Did it come from BAFTA? Well, I watched some of them on other Twitter accounts. It wasn't just straight. I didn't watch just straight off of BAFTA's Twitter page about this. But anyway, your reaction to these winners from the Brits?
Mostly pretty much right down the line what was largely expected. Poor Things did pretty well. The American Fiction winning adapted screenplay was a funny thing, because foolishly I had it in last place because it was its only nomination at all. So it didn't make too much sense, but it's always been the film that once it won the TIFF People's Choice Award, you kind of have to start looking for a path for it to win something at the Oscars, because generally a film that wins at least one, unless you are The Fabelmans. Yeah. And obviously shout out to Josh Parham, who has stuck by American Fiction winning this category at least for quite a while, and using that logic and that train of thought. But it winning over Poor Things, Zone, and Oppenheimer, all of the films that actually won the lion's share of awards, that should be more than enough, I think, for anybody to see and realize that it's probably going to win the Oscar too.
I mean, yeah, but we also have this little movie.
It's going up against the one movie it has never had to go up against live before.
Yeah, which is Barbie. I mean, Barbie not being in any of these categories up to this point, that's going to be the toss and turn the next couple of weeks, right? It's like, how does Barbie's inclusion into this category, does that change at all? Because up to this point, it's been an original in every single telecast that it's been up for. And I mean, even at Critics' Choice, Barbie won original screenplay, and American Fiction won adapted, and obviously Anatomy of a Fall. Its lone win also was here in original screenplay, which was
screenplay wins were sold.
They were something. Yeah, they were something.
Yeah, and which is especially wild that this is the first time I think that Anatomy of a Fall has lost international feature specifically to the zone of interest. So that was fascinating.
It lost at London Critics, which was really funny because they were nearly a blueprint for today.
Yeah, they really were.
Outside of casting.
Yes, which that casting award
to the holdovers,
which was
I mean, I predicted that to be the case, and it does track with the doesn't get a SAG cast nomination but wins BAFTA cast casting, you know.
Also, for Discovery in there too, have that kind of Discovery performance that people like a lot, you know. You know, it made sense. It also made sense once again for the Killers of the Flower Moon to not have a presence here because it didn't have a presence pretty much anywhere at the rest of this frickin' ceremony, so it doesn't matter, you know. And we'll get into talking about Killers of the Flower Moon maybe at other places today, but and over the next couple of weeks, which it's starting to become grimmer and grimmer. But the field is starting to shrink in terms of potentially paths for certain films, and obviously paths wide open for other films. Dan, there was some interesting, I think, stuff below the line, which last year, you know, everybody online is loving to talk about the significance of BAFTA, whether it has a lot or if it doesn't, right? You know, because last year above the line, it didn't really have a lot of significant value in predicting
none.
And none of them.
But 0 for 8.
But below the line, it told a different story, right? Of films that emerged to then take some craft categories, and that was a big case for Poor Things today. And a lot of its wins were definitely those craft categories that it went up against Oppenheimer. It also won some that it won't have a shot at winning the Oscar, the visual effects Oscar. So I don't know, Dan, your kind of thoughts on its performance today, because we knew Oppenheimer was going to do well, you know.
It was one of those things where we got to a certain point where near the end of the ceremony, the two of them had 4 wins each, I think, going into like the final big awards of the night. And it was like, well, wait, is Poor Things actually going to have a chance to win Best Film now? Like, what's happening? And normally I would have said, well, I don't think, like, it's obviously going to be Oppenheimer, but this will boost Poor Things for Best British Film, which had already been won earlier in the evening by the Zone of Interest. So it's like, I don't know what happened there.
It won Best British Film and then Best like international film.
Yeah, it won Best British Film and Best Sound in a like the only upset for Oppenheimer.
Pretty much.
The big upset.
The big upset. But then Oppenheimer upset in another category, which was interesting. I don't know. It's I have always wondered why the critical consensus on costume and production design had skewed so heavily towards Barbie. And the fact that Poor Things won both of those categories here, and also won with the Art Directors Guild, I think looks very well, specifically for that movie in production design. But I also think costumes is a lot closer now than most people would have thought earlier in the season. It's doing really, really well in these below the line categories at these major awards shows. And with a total of 11 Oscar nominations, it's 11 or 10 for Poor Things. It's gonna win. It's not gonna only win 1 or 2. It has the potential to upset in some places, I think.
It does have that. It also has, I mean, I've seen this movie before also as well too, where Yorgos Lanthimos' film has done really well at BAFTA, and then it only wins 1, but every year is different. And it doesn't seem like that's the case. I mean, Barbie's wins or Barbie's losses here today and not winning a bunch also makes a lot of sense. They overall didn't seem to go for the film in every single particular category, like even as much as even the Oscars. And then you look at like Killers and even like the upset, I think of one of the upsets of the day that Poor Things had was in makeup, and that beating Maestro, which that could be very interesting because that movie's only win at this point seems to be in makeup, and it's like, well, how vulnerable is that movie to going home with nothing? And
the makeup category is so fascinating because for the past few years, that category has really been closely associated with a winning performance. And the fascinating thing is that if Poor Things does win this category, the corresponding acting performance would probably be Emma Stone, who is not the big makeup character in this movie.
No, she's not at all.
So it's very fascinating how that ties in this year, how that trend ties in this year compared to previous years.
Erik, your thoughts on them? On those categories?
Sticking with makeup, that is a really good point, that the makeup category tied with the acting win is tied to that actor, and that is not the case here. It is the case for Maestro, clearly.
But
he also hasn't won a single acting prize all season.
He's not winning it. No, unfortunately, he's not.
So it's interesting. I think Poor Things obviously made a bigger name for itself today with its 5 wins, even though it's less than the 7 that the favorite had.
Was it 7 or 8? Was it 7? 7?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very different circumstances, obviously. And these production design, costume design wins, while not totally unexpected at all, they're carving out the path for Barbie to go almost anywhere outside of song, which
A Star Is Born
kind of put us into A Star Is Born. But sticking more specifically with BAFTA, it actually makes a lot of sense here. I think it's a logical win here, but Maestro did extremely well.
It did,
and had 7 nominations. So if it was going to win, then it would have won. And then that would have been its path.
And they've really showcased Netflix has done a real try to last minute campaign around both Cooper and the makeup team, sending out a lot of videos and things and focusing on that online too. So that's clearly their path forward. And it doesn't mean that, obviously this win for Poor Things in this category, it does not mean that it could ultimately win the Oscar, but it's something on its belt that it has. I think, Dan, you're absolutely right. That production design win here, along with its wins from the guilds over the last couple of weeks, it's felt like it's kind of opened up into a little bit of a 3-headed race, with Oppenheimer winning, and as well as Poor Things going up against Barbie in the split, because they split them up into different genres, right? They split it up, and that was going up against it in sci-fi fantasy, right, between Barbie and Poor Things, right, Erik, at the guilds, at the AGGs.
Barbie's always been in fantasy and Oppenheimer always in period. But the Art Directors Guild and the Set Decorators Society split on Poor Things. And it was in fantasy for Art Directors Guild and period for Set Decorators. I'm like, you guys are a lot of the same.
You guys should probably call each other. Maybe have a conversation.
Although, like, I get it because, like, a lot of these set decoration specifically in Poor Things is period based.
I get it.
Whereas the larger production design is more fantastical. I get it, but it's like we're really splitting hairs here. Like you're getting the weeds.
But no, I think that Its win here was great. I mean, costume, that's just wide open, I think, at this point. Still. And I don't even think we'll have the guild winners for costumes, right? Until are we going to have those
not
before
till March? We have a handful of things that are coming in March after this coming weekend.
But after the voting's closed.
Yes, after the voting is closed.
Yeah, and everything.
Most
so
definitely.
So we won't know when we're making our final predictions.
Editors and costume design, all that stuff.
In cinematographer, we won't know cinematography as well. Though, I mean, come on, we know what cinematography is going to be.
All that's the first week of
March. Obviously, big day for Oppenheimer. It's 7 wins. Was very much expected. The only thing that I think we really kind of tossed and turned around was whether or not Cillian Murphy would win Best Actor for the BAFTA. And he did. And I know that a lot of people are like, well, it's to be expected, but but as Erik, you pointed out,
first Irishman to win.
Yeah.
Ever.
Erik, when you pointed that out online, I went, wait, really? Like, we always just assume, you know what I mean? That if you're from the area, they're just handing out BAFTAs, but that's just not the case. And
look what happened last year. Why
Colin Farrell?
Yeah, Colin Farrell should have absolutely been able to win this, but Austin Butler did instead. And it was very funny because, I mean, obviously I know the history of this, and that's why I tweeted it. And then there's so many comments of people that don't understand clearly the difference between being Irish and British, the history of the two, the history of BAFTA. And then also at least one person that thinks that being Irish is a race. So there's that. Really weird. I don't know. Do some research maybe.
But let's talk about the actor wins. And I know, Erik, you and I were talking offline a little bit about this trio, especially these speeches. These speeches have already gone online. Erik, do you have some thoughts on the speeches overall from this season so far? Because I feel like right now is your time to vent right before we're about to head to SAG.
It isn't so much of a vent, but it is a little bit because, yes, obviously Da'Vine Joy Randolph and Robert Downey Jr. are absolutely, steamrolling, and they're going to keep winning. I just wish they had better speeches. I mean,
especially if you're going to be writing in advance and reading.
I mean, I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish there was a little bit less of that.
Yeah.
But his speeches so far have had this sort of air of a little bit of expectation. So they're pretending to kind of come off as a little bit self-effacing, but it doesn't. I don't know. I wish that his speeches were less read and studied and more just kind of off the cuff. Yeah. And Da'Vine Joy Randolph too. Hers have been I know she's obviously really nervous and she wants to get names down and stuff like that. And I totally respect that. But just look at her BAFTA speech, where she gets on stage and she is, "Ooh, you are so handsome." She would tell Ejiofor, she goes, "I was hoping you were going to be here." And her energy and her personality that's 100% her. And then it totally turns off into, trying to unfold this thing with gloves on and read it. And she's like never like looking at anybody. She's just looking at the paper and reading. And it's, speeches are great. Speeches can really drive interest and be memorable. These aren't going to be memorable speeches. The only person that's really kind of nailing their speeches has been Christopher Nolan.
Yep.
Who isn't reading off of anything, and he's naming 20 people.
He's got humor in every one of his speeches,
and he's funny.
Yeah.
And I think his speeches have been fantastic, and he's extremely personable in a way that he's certainly never really kind of been thought of until recently. And he's done, it's not that he's done an about face, but he's given audiences and viewers a side of him that isn't seen that much, but part of it is because he's never won like this before.
He's never won anything.
So we haven't seen that side of him. So when you don't see that and you only know a person based on their films or whatever, you really create this idea of what they are and who they are as a person too. And he's not. He's pretty goofy. He's really funny. And he speaks with absolute love and passion, both for his films and for the people that he works with. And it's great. I love that. More of that, please.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Randolph is it's very much, I'm reading off this piece of paper. I think for Downey, the other way around is he needs to read from that piece of paper because he's a wild card that could go off in a million different ways. And I think his wife is very, I know you want that, but that can also
Those are the best moments.
I know, but that can also derail a campaign or derail, and
I don't care about that.
I know you don't care about that, but I am just telling you why I think that Susan Downey's writing a lot of those speeches for him, and which I've been able to watch some of these Q&As that they've allowed for us to see, that they've recorded, and he's very personal, and he's been very reflective on the fact that Nolan, like he said today, that a lot of people weren't really taking him as serious of an actor, and Nolan forced him kind of into this box and to challenge himself to do something different than just Tony Stark. And so there's a little bit of it, but it's not all the way there. I think once we get to maybe SAG next week or even the Oscar speech, I think there will be maybe more of an emotional moment, because it will be, he might talk about his dad, or he might talk about, because he's been in this industry for such a long time. And it does feel like, I agree with you, Eric, there should be a little bit more, rather than like just the usual, Downey, kind of, superstarness. There should be a little bit more of like, this is a big damn deal, and this is his moment to really celebrate that.
Think about Brad Pitt's Oscar run for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was very much like that.
Yeah, he even called out Tarantino's foot fetish. He was all over it. And everything. And when you're a winner and you're going to win, you get the chance then to be able, like you're saying, I guess, Eric, you get to be able to open up the bag and show everybody something different rather than the same speech. Cillian Murphy, I'm going to expect that from Cillian Murphy, because he's an introvert and he doesn't like to talk to a lot of people. So he's just going to be a very thank you and get off the damn stage. Emma Stone's speeches are the same thing. It's the same thing at the Golden Globes. It's the same thing at Critics' Choice. It's like, I should have won, really, me? Oh, okay, well, this cast is great, and you're to go, and everything. And it's like, come on. Like, it's there's no importance to it. There's no, it doesn't feel like, anything I haven't seen. And I've also seen Emma Stone do a bunch of speeches before, because she's a previous winner. So it's not like anything, the shtick is not new here. It's not like when you see Lily Gladstone win at Golden Globes, or if Sandra Hüller would have won, or if God forbid Annette Bening does upset it with Naiad, like it would be like, holy shit, like what kind of speech would that be? You know what I mean? And so, or Carey Mulligan for that matter. So
bring Warren Beatty up on that stage.
I know, get him in
the envelope.
That leather jacket that Warren wears is get him up there. But no, I agree with you. They've been a little lackluster, but I didn't get to see, I don't know if you guys saw the screenplay speeches. I don't know if they were out yet in time. I wanted to see how Cord Jefferson did, or Justine Triet, who's, did you see him?
No,
Eric?
but I hadn't yet, and I was looking and waiting for them, but I haven't watched either yet. But I did hear that Arthur Harari and Justine Triet's speech was very funny.
Yeah,
unexpectedly.
Well, when you got a couple up there, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they've been really good. I would just like to see Cord Jefferson's speech, because I know that he's been out on the campaign all year long, and a speech like that.
It takes a lot to travel all the way across the pond for your film's sole nomination and kind of being and like I'm gonna
win
through a 3-hour show and then he won.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I thought that the winners were great.
I think there was amongst the couple of surprises, like the debut by British writer going to Earth Mama instead of How to Have Sex was a big surprise.
Huge surprise. Makes me so happy because that movie's delightful. But how to have sex
has basically been like the Charlotte Wells of this small section here. So I'm a little surprised by that. But what I'm really interested in is the animated feature.
There you go.
We also just had the Annie Awards last night, where Spider-Man completely swept and won every single category that it was nominated for, all 7. And then Boy and the Heron wins today.
Yeah.
So they each have one industry award apiece, and then they each have one journalist award apiece. And we've got PGA this weekend, and that, I mean, I feel like it will be Spider-Man, but it does still feel like a race. At least it's kind of cool.
Well, it's fascinating because no animated film that has won the Golden Globe and the BAFTA has ever lost at the Oscars. But simultaneously, no film that has ever won both PGA and the Ace Eddie have lost at the Oscars. And we maybe find ourselves in a situation where those two statistics are going head to head and we get to see which is stronger, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because I think Spider-Man will win PGA, which we'll get to later, and it's going to win Ace. There's no way it's not going to win Ace. I mean, the movie is 50% editing, so yeah, we will have both of those going up against each other, and they're also both box office successes and popular, and it's a good race, and it's a great race when two good films get to be the ones competing against each other.
No, for sure, yeah. Well, we might as well start getting over. Oh, well, one last thing too. The Rising Star Award.
Mia McKenna Bruce.
We did talk about this. That was a great win.
That made me so happy. That performance in How to Have Sex is totally star making. She's unbelievably good. And I really hope that this is the start of a long career for her, because that was a fantastic, charming speech, and she's incredible in the film.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, guys. Well, that's BAFTA. They're done. I don't have to talk about them for another year. We'll see their impact over the next couple weeks. Let's do predictions. Let's talk about PGA first. Let's go to PGA. All right. So we'll do just the top 3, the film categories here. And this is outstanding producer of a documentary, theatrical motion picture. We have 20 Days of Mariupol, American Symphony, Beyond Utopia, The Disappearance of Sherry Height, The Mother of All Lies, Smoke Sana Sisterhood, and Squaring the Circle. I mean, 20 Days of Mariupol, right? That's what's going to win this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's.
I mean, especially with how recent events have shed light on the Ukraine once again.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Animated motion picture for the PGA. I mean, Erik kind of spoiled his pick. Erik's going. You're going with Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I think what was funny was when these nominations were being predicted, a lot of people were still clinging on to the idea that Spider-Verse could get into the 10, and I think it was like it was probably like an 11-15 area or whatever for sure. But I think that it's going to win this category pretty easily. But Oscar, I think, could be a very, very different story. And then obviously, outstanding producer for a theatrical motion picture. Everybody say it together. Oppenheimer, right?
Maestro.
Barbie.
What?
If it's not Oppenheimer, it would be Barbie, but it's going to be Oppenheimer.
If it was
No.
not Oppenheimer, we would be all confused, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Great though. What if it's American Fiction and they were like,
Oh,
"Holy
God.
shit, here we go."
It's just
Josh Parham would not be able to stop laughing.
Yeah, it would be. What are we doing? No, it'll be Oppenheimer, and at that point, it would be pretty much. I mean, it already feels like it's pretty much done. But when it wins PGA for Oppenheimer, it will be done for Best Picture at that point. We can lock it up at that point.
Yeah.
All right, let's do SAG. We'll wait for indie spirits here in a little bit. That'll be more of a fun conversation. So let's do SAG. Outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble in a motion picture. Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. How are we looking here, folks? Dan, we'll start with you.
I mean, it should be John Wick walking away.
For real.
Will it? I don't know. I feel like it could very easily be Mission Impossible as well.
Yeah.
Although, like, I always say, like, I joked during the nomination phase that, like, what, they're going to nominate Mission Impossible for Best Stunt Ensemble and just reward Tom Cruise? But, like, we all know that's not how movies work, but
yeah.
That's not how this award works either.
Erik?
I mean, this is John Wick's first nomination here, and it's actually kind of surprising, and
It's kind of cool.
It's really cool. I think Barbie's nomination here is great. I love it. I think it's super funny. But yeah, this feels like Mission Impossible's win, and part of that is because people will really feel like they are awarding Tom Cruise here.
Yeah.
I mean, like the average person that when they talk about, you know, a new Oscar category and they talk about a stunt category, that's what they do. They go right to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
not really how it works.
That's not how it works. It's, you know, stunt coordinators, and that's not how it works. That's, you know, it's as bad as misconstruing best casting for best cast.
Yeah.
I will say Top Gun Maverick did win this last year. So that also could just be like they're rewarding Tom Cruise there in that cast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Barbie because I think that people are just gonna be like, I want to vote Barbie in this category, and I think they already did the whole Tom Cruise thing last year with Top Gun Maverick, and yeah. And if you look at the category and you just look at it, usually the films that have not just like a bunch of stunts, but also are very popular, you know, you are the ones that win. And so like a lot of the sequels don't really end up winning here, like John Wick. And I don't think the Marvel, I don't think Guardians is going to win that. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think Indiana Jones is even likely. And I just think it's going to be Barbie. I just think that would be the one that they want. Because probably more people have watched Barbie and like Barbie more than Mission Impossible.
That much I think is true.
Well,
but I think that when you're thinking about the stunts in those two respective movies, I don't think anyone sees Barbie as a big stunt.
I don't think people think about it.
Except for the Ken fight. The Ken fight is
the one scene
fight, really.
Yeah. But they're shooting like Nerf arrows. Like
no, I agree.
It's not the same kind of fight that's in a John Wick, which is why its existence in this group is so fun and so great.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm going a little different, just in the stunt ensemble category. You know what I mean? A little bit different. Erik said we wanted to do TV here today, so we're gonna do. Are we gonna do TV? Yes. Okay.
Where is Tyler? I feel ill-equipped.
You can do some TV real quick. Outstanding. We'll just do the stunt ensemble here and transition perfectly over there. Outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble in a comedy or drama series. Erik, we'll start with you.
Super competitive.
This is pretty
Ahsoka,
big.
Barry, Beef, The Last of Us, and The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly competitive. I kind of love that Barry's here. but it is a very action-filled show a lot of the time. Beef being here really speaks to the absolute strength of that show, because the action and the stunts that are in this are also really good, but they're also sort of like berries, but like less of them. So it's quite similar, really. And speaking of things that are similar, Ahsoka and the Mandalorian are literally in the same universe and occupying similar stunt concepts. I'm not sure if not in a cancel each other out kind of way, because that would be vote splitting and that's not real. But they do occupy a lot of the same territory. So does that leave The Last of Us kind of just as maybe the pick here? I don't know. This is tougher than it looks.
I have been thinking that this is The Last of Us just based on the fact that a 2-person ensemble ended up getting nominated for Best Ensemble. I'm just like, they must really fucking like that show, and that's gonna give it the edge.
It's not a 2-person ensemble, it's a massive ensemble.
I know, but the fact that those are the only 2 listed is hilarious.
It's the stupid rules by which SAG loves to play, but I agree with Dan. I think it would be The Last of Us.
Yeah,
I think the Disney shows cancel each other out, and I think the others don't have enough to withstand within something like The Last of Us, which is very action packed and does have a lot of big sequences throughout its couple of seasons. So, or a couple episodes that it has there. Like, I just think of that big, like when I think it's like the 5th episode where all the zombies come out of the ground or whatever, when with Melanie Linsky right there. Yeah. Okay. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a comedy series. Dan, I'll start with you on this one.
Okay, so I don't think it's going to go to either of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel ladies, as much as I love them both and would love to see one of them take it home for that final season, which I really loved. Think Hannah Waddingham is obviously lucky to be here for that last season of Ted Lasso. And we got I really do think it's between Quinta and Io, and I forget if this is for the Bears' first or second season.
Second.
That's for the second season.
Is for the second season. Then I think it's Io.
Yeah.
she was a much clearer co-lead.
Yeah. And I think that helps. And I think just everyone's love for the Bear will push that over, even though Abbott is airing finally now. I still think people will push the Bear.
Yeah. Any awards going forward for the Bear is for season 2. Just want to make that clear to the listeners out there, because we're done. The Emmys were the last of season 1, and now we're all into season 2. It's because of the strikes and everything.
It's been so long, I couldn't remember.
Yes. And right when the Emmys start voting and everything is when season 3 is supposed to premiere. Erik, your thoughts, your winner on the category?
Quinta Brunson just won the Emmy a few weeks ago.
Yes.
But so did Iowa Debris in supporting for season 1. She will be lead next year at the Emmys for season 2. I think Iowa Debris is winning this in a walk.
Yeah.
With spoiler alert, with the rest of her cast later.
I mean, let's just be honest.
I'm going Io here too. I mean, I mean, she's been sweeping everything. She had an incredible year last year too. So it's
she did.
She is the moment right now. That is for sure. I would assume also we are all in agreement that outstanding performance by a male actor in a comedy series is Jeremy Allen White for the Bear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we all can agree that the Bear will win Best Ensemble in a comedy series.
Yes.
Okay. We can move on from that one then, and we can go to outstanding performance by a female actor in a television, movie, or limited series. Erik, we'll start over there with you. This is not as well. I mean, this is pretty easy, actually. It was probably
it is.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's very easy. We have, for the record, Uzo Aduba, Painkiller, Catherine Hahn, Tiny Beautiful Things, Brie Larson, Lessons in Chemistry, Belle Powley, Small Light, and Ali Wong in Beef. It's going to be Ali Wong in Beef.
Yeah.
Or as Joan Collins says, Beef.
Beef. Yes, I agree. I think Dan agrees as well.
Yeah, there is part of me that's like, I don't know, they vote for Uzo Aduba a lot, but for that show, no.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Ali.
Yeah, for sure. Outstanding performance by a male actor in a television, movie, or limited series. I mean, Matt Bomer, Fellow Travelers, John Hamm for Fargo, David Oyelowo for Lawman Bass Reeves, and Tony Shalhoub for Mr. Monk's Last Case, a Monk movie, but it doesn't matter because it's going to Stephen Yeun for Beef.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's obviously going to Tony Shalhoub.
Maybe at the Emmys next year. Is that when would he qualify for that?
How many Emmys did that man win?
Right?
Oh my god!
Too
many. But yeah, it's Stephen Yeun for Beef. Okay. I think this might be pretty easy as well too. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a drama series, Sarah Snook, right, for Succession.
Yeah,
yes?
we're just gonna see the Critics' Choice, Golden Globe.
Because we're all gonna expect that Karen Culkin wins also best outstanding performance by a male actor in a drama series. Right?
Still hoping that it's Brian Cox just so that he can tell Jeremy to go
strong,
fuck himself one more time.
And then of course, outstanding performance by an ensemble in a drama series is Succession. Yes, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move back over to film. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a supporting role. Da'Vine Joy Randolph. Yes.
Yep, she's sweeping.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Speaking of another sweep, outstanding performance by a male actor in a supporting role. Robert Downey Jr. Correct?
Yep.
Brooms. Sweep. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got all that out of the way. We've got all those sweeps out of the way. All those expected things.
Now we got the fun part.
Let's talk about the meat of this. Outstanding performance by a male actor in a leading role. Bradley Cooper, Maestro, Coleman Domingo, Rustin, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, the Oscar 5. This is them. Dan Bayer, I'm going to start with you. I'm sorry.
I actually don't think this one is that complicated. I think it's going to be Paul Giamatti.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit why, Dan?
I would be happy to, Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
I am predicting Paul Giamatti to win this because I have predicted him to win this since the beginning of the season, and I'm certainly not backing down now.
Okay.
But no, that's little tongue in cheek, but like really, I do think that it's very, very close race between him and Cillian Murphy. I believe it has been close between them at every awards show, even though I don't have any sort of data to back that up. It's just that you have here like two sort of classic winners in the lead of the presumptive Best Picture winner, who's in just about who's certainly in every scene of the movie, if not in every shot of the movie, and gives an incredible, if mostly internalized performance, versus a legendary actor who is who has worked with a lot of people and who a lot of people love, playing an incredibly lovable role that sums up all of his best qualities as an actor, that makes you feel doubly good about giving him a career honor / overdue honor / makeup honor for Sideways and 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of think that just like all those things that compound in Giamatti's favor for him to win this. I do think it will be incredibly close because obviously everyone really loves Oppenheimer and Cillian Murphy has been doing well this season. But I think that with SAG, especially because it is a larger organization and one that plays a little broader, I'm going with the broader performance, which is Giamatti's.
Okay. Erik Anderson.
I actually do think this is a little bit more difficult, and partially because I don't want to say the holdovers underperformed, but
Yeah,
you know,
but
I think it could have. I think it could have gotten.
Where is it in SAG Ensemble?
That's what he's saying. Like it could have.
I think it could have gotten a cast nomination. As we just discussed, only 2 people are nominated for drama series, so they're not completely afraid of doing it as a group, even if the committees are different. So you know, and Dominic Sessa could have gotten in as well. So I think I think there's something a little bit to that, just a little bit. Versus, you know, Oppenheimer's 4 nominations here. That's nothing to sneeze at. I am leaning Giamatti though right now, but you know, even though Cillian Murphy just won BAFTA, you know, a split between BAFTA and SAG is pretty common.
Happened last year.
So it happens plenty of times
frequently,
unless there's a you know, complete sweeps. So I think it is pretty competitive, but I think it also depends on what you're looking at as a whole. If Robert Downey Jr. is locked, that's in. Emily Blunt is not winning. That's fine. Is the film winning SAG cast? So does Cillian Murphy go with it? Does it get 3? That's not that uncommon.
Nope.
For a film with 4 to be able to win 3, sure. I mean, films with 4 nominations have gotten 0 before too. So it's there is no path. There is no science or math that tells the story. You just have to kind of feel it. And I do feel that it's Giamatti.
Okay. So I'm going to preference this by saying that I'm going to, just because of what happened at BAFTA today, will not affect whatever I'm about to pick. Nor does when Oscar nominations or our Oscar prediction episode in 2 weeks, it can totally change then as well too. I have it in my bones. It feels like that Cillian Murphy is going to win this Oscar, but he does not need SAG in order to do it, because Oppenheimer is just like over at Critics' Choice. It did not win. He did not win Best Actor, but everybody got up on that stage and talked about him, as well as also they won Ensemble there as well. And Emily Blunt kept pointing out that this movie is resting on the shoulders of Cillian Murphy's performance. He is the titular Oppenheimer. Sorry to Paul Giamatti that he's not called Mr. Holdover, but he is the titular Oppenheimer. And so it's very hard for me to see a world where this lead of this movie that's so popular, you talk about broad appeal, Dan, I love you. I don't know what's more broad appeal than a 3-hour movie that made $1 billion. Like, it's proved everything against all odds that it's not broad, that everybody's seen it and everybody loves it. So, like, I'm throwing that one out away. Maybe the style of films are different for sure, but in terms of like who's seen the Holdovers and Oppenheimer more, clearly Oppenheimer's been seen a hell of a lot more. I think that also too, when you talk about Oscars down the road, who they're pushing in certain categories, because they, you know, Universal has both of these films technically. Um, this is tough. This is tough. Is not easy. For a long time I thought, okay, well maybe Bradley Cooper could have won this award, but that movie is just because he's so popular, and actors really love him, and he's but that movie's just gone nowhere. Obviously, Coleman Domingo is somebody that is, it's to get him the Oscar nomination, and he's going to have, I think, many more bites at this apple with the upcoming projects that he has. Obviously, Jeffrey Wright is someone that honestly we should consider here too. He's got he got into his film, at least got, as well as Cillian Murphy's film, into the cast ensemble here in American Fiction. That's something that we can consider maybe in the next category, as well as also Sterling K. Brown, and had a great day here, carried that over to Oscars. But I see what y'all are saying, and I ultimately still think Cillian could win this, even with losing it. I'm going to predict very, very closely. I will predict Paul Giamatti, but it's not easy. I think I will not be surprised at all if Cillian Murphy wins this.
Oh, me neither.
But
be clear, yeah.
If Murphy wins, I mean, either way, I still think we're going to have a nail-biting conversation in a couple of weeks. But if Murphy wins SAG and BAFTA, it's over. If Giamatti wins this, I still think that we will have an interesting conversation based off of those two films and how their performance could be. I don't think it's sewn up just because of SAG. I think that everybody thinks that because it happened last year. It won't be.
SAG and Golden Globes and Critics' Choice.
It really will be.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't. No. I don't think it'll be sewed up at all. But I'm going to go with Paul Giamatti. Because Paul Giamatti won't be in the Best Picture winner, and that's why it won't be
all that hemming and hawing, and you went with Giamatti anyway.
I mean, now that you're just going to do that, let's do Best Actress, since you want to open your mouth. Erik. Annette Bening for Nyad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. How are you seeing this one play out?
This is Lily Gladstone's last stand. And
yeah.
That's that on that.
Yeah.
We do still have 5 days. Well, as of this recording, 5 days left of SAG winner voting.
Mm-hmm.
But the momentum is completely behind Emma Stone at this point. And I don't see why that is going to change.
Yeah. Dan?
There's one thing that happened this week that sort of caused my eyebrows to raise a little, which I don't know if either of you saw, that Annette Bening campaign ad that specifically called out all her previous Oscar nominations and how she is one of the defining actresses and blah, blah, blah. And I had a moment of God damn it. She could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that push is coming far too late in the game for it to make a significant impact at this point.
I agree.
Is the only problem. But that ad, that for your consideration now that I saw, really did make me pause for a little bit and go, oh, she's right there. She's right there, waiting to pounce.
I'll give you some offline tea about that ad when we're done.
Please.
But yes, not only that, but all of January and February has been Bening getting a whole lot of honors.
Yeah.
Including, as we have spoken before, getting the Telluride medallion that she wasn't able to get in September because of the strikes.
Yeah.
But I know she was just supposed to receive the Santa Barbara honor this week, but was ill and not able to go, which is too bad. But yeah, no one other than her of the nominees has had this little sweep of festival honors and guild honors. Costume Designers Guild is giving her an honor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she is out there. She's absolutely, I'm not saying she's a huge possibility to spoil. She would have had to, kind of like Bradley Cooper, something would have had to been like in
bounce our way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Before this, because it's not, you don't win off of campaign ads. You just don't.
No.
And
Not off just campaign ads anyway.
Yeah,
you got to have some hardware to go along with it.
Yeah, those are great once you have that path. The path isn't created because of it, but it gets you there once you're on it.
Well, also your film needs to do better too nowadays from what we've seen. I mean, like when it missed on a bunch of the shortlists early on.
That it really shouldn't have actually.
That it really should have been
makeup,
in there.
Really,
yeah. When she was looking like the straight out of like the creature from The Shape of Water, and she didn't get in for that. You're like, well, those are signs. Those are little signs. You know what I mean?
It definitely is. It definitely is.
Yeah. So she's been in like the back of my mind as someone that could really could come up from behind and spoil the Gladstone party. It's been in the back of my mind, but I ultimately don't think it's happening because there's been not enough of wind behind those sails for long enough. I do think that this is going to be Emma Stone, or to be more precise, I think it's hers to lose. I think this is an awards body that clearly adores her. It is also it is a performance that plays more broadly than Lily Gladstone's, which is what I was trying to say about Giamatti versus Cillian Murphy's. It's an easier performance to grab onto. It is in some cases, a warmer performance. She's not at such a remove from the audience as Molly Burkhart sometimes is in Killers. And just like you're coming from actors, the technical aspects of Emma's performance are out of this world. And the fact that she creates a wholly original character, I think, will really carry her with this particular guild.
Yeah, I'm going with Emma Stone here for Poor Things. I think, obviously it's hers to lose at this point. I was talking with Erik earlier this week, and I'll let the listeners in on this. It's just my frustrations with the idea of this category and what we do every single year with this category, or just many categories to be in honestly, which is this idea of 1 year we have to put all of our cards in the middle of the table and say, we need this performance to win for change, and we can ignore all the rules or, merit or whether a performance is better or not than this. And last year, obviously, we were like, we know the importance of a performance like Michelle Yeoh. So even no matter how good Cate Blanchett is, we're not going to give her a third Oscar. We're going to put that aside. We're going to just erase all that from the narrative and just say Michelle Yeoh's got to win. Obviously, that movie was much more popular. But
there's much more going on there than just the representation. But okay.
But it was a big factor into a lot of people and why they wanted that one to specifically happen.
Sure, to certain
because
people.
If that movie would have won everywhere else and that performance did not win in that category, people
it would have been vicious.
Like it did at Critics' Choice. You know what I mean? And you have this performance here from Lily Gladstone, I think is so powerful and so poetic and would say so much and would be historic and all these things beyond just being a damn good performance. And instead we are going with Emma Stone's second win. And it's not that it's a bad performance or anything. It's just, we do not factor that in. Something about it just also, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, even Emma Stone at Critics' Choice lamented about the fact that it doesn't make any sense that she's up on that stage and she's getting it over the totality of the other performances that also included Sandra Hüller and Greta Lee. And so I understand that that it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's always very frustrating because the rules change from year to year, and like Erik says, it's always different. I think Lily Gladstone should win this. She also has the ensemble nomination to go along that as well. And so that shows a little bit more strength for the film, more than
it's
Poor
not
Things.
required, though. Plenty of people have won without that.
Including
multiple individual wins from a same film without the benefit of a
for sure. But I think it will be Emma Stone on the road to winning her second Oscar, and she's like 35, which is crazy. And to have such a close win after her last one, it's not even a decade ago. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Is it though?
Yeah, it is.
We have examples like Hilary Swank and Christoph Waltz.
She's literally the new Hilary Swank. Yeah.
Well, Hilary Swank was also in a Best Picture winner. So
fair for the second time. Yeah.
Yeah, for the second time. So Poor Things isn't winning Best Picture. So I'm waiting SAG Ensemble. So I'm just saying.
I think that this category has been so fascinating all year.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't quite gone the way I think any of us expected. Especially, and I hate to say it, but I do kind of think that the reason Lily hasn't been able to convert the early Critics' Prize and Golden Globe win into momentum that has sustained is because for many people that is not a lead performance.
Yeah.
And I feel for her, I feel for the performance, I feel for the film in some ways.
Yeah.
Because I think too that inadvertently running her as lead has caused people's expectation of what the movie is to be different, and that has also affected then how they think of the film both as a whole and how it adapted the story. And I think that a lot of these comments that have come up about how disappointed people are about how the Native American story is sidelined, or we don't get enough of that perspective, is because people have sort of outsized expectations of what Lily Gladstone's performance is going to be because it's been run as a lead performance, and they expect certain things of the movie because of that the movie does not end up paying off. And I think that that's sad, because I think it's an incredible performance, one that I think is absolutely deserving of awards recognition. And she really started this season off incredibly strong. I think when we all thought Sandra Hüller was going to win the lion's share of critics' prizes, but it unfortunately was not able to sustain. And that's sad, because I think you're right. I think that it's incredibly important. It would be an incredibly important win were it to happen.
It just feels weird in a strong year with so many fantastic performances from so many people that have either been long overdue or new in the category or give the performances of the year. It feels so of Oscar and of these voting bodies to give it to somebody that has already won one. And this happens throughout history, as Erik has said. And you have said that, but Dan. It's just really.
Now that I've turned 40, I'm suddenly dad.
You're a dad now. My parents are here.
Yeah, but you had the opposite stance last year when it was Cate Blanchett. It was not,
because that was the performance of the year. So I mean, what the hell are we talking about? But you're every year's different. You say that every year.
It is different, and actually I'll say it in a way that's not going to be very graceful, but last year's results, especially in the lead actress category, did a lot to take the wind out of the sails of Lily Gladstone for this year.
Yeah. I also will say this for you too, Dan, that she was it feels like it was in a lose-lose situation, because if she does go and put herself in supporting actress in that campaign, then it proves all those people right. And it's like, well, it's a lesser performance, and and whatnot. But I do think she's a lead in the film and everything. But regardless, it will be Emma Stone's second Oscar. It looks like ensemble cast. Where are we going here? Erik, you want to start this one off?
That sounded like no.
And now it's like, fuck no.
Yeah,
this is not easy. I don't think this one's easy either.
No, it's not.
It's not easy. We've got American Fiction, Barbie, The Color Purple, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer. So let's get things out of the way that
Color Purple
going to be a factor. Which
is
bye
Color
Purple.
Yeah, get out.
Everything else kind of is.
Yeah.
I would say, barring some kind of about face, American Fiction is probably in fourth.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then we do have the weird situation of Killers of the Flower Moon, and because of the way that the SAG Awards allow who gets to be nominated here, there is literally no one other than Tantu Cardinal, representative of the Osage in this film. It's Tantu Cardinal and Lily Gladstone, so no one else is.
Yeah. Brendan Fraser and John Lithgow will win one, and not the sisters.
SAG, change your rules.
Yeah,
it is. They are, despite the fact that they came on with a stunt ensemble category long ago. It is still shocking to me that they have not allowed the change of that, which is it's union based. It is absolutely it's not confusing exactly. It just is, for terms of awards recognition, pretty unfair.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, also Barbie and Oppenheimer are huge ensembles. They're missing key significant performances in there, but these performances are far worse of a miss in the totality of telling the story of Killers of the Flower Moon as a film overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, the fact that none of her sisters are in there is just outrageous.
Yeah, The Color Purple has probably the best representation of its cast of any of the films, and American Fiction. Those are the two that represent their cast the best, rather than being the extremely cherry-picked versions that Barbie and Killers and Oppenheimer all have. But that's not going to matter to voters. It will never matter to voters, because even though David Krumholtz is not on the list for Oppenheimer, you're going to vote for Oppenheimer because
you love
partially of him in it, and Josh Hartnett and everyone else that is not on that list.
Josh Hartnett is.
Josh Hartnett is, but Benny Safdie's not.
Yeah, and that's bullshit.
Yes, thank you.
Like that's such a big performance in that movie.
Also, Tom Conti isn't.
Yeah. Fucking Einstein,
Alden Ehrenreich, a lot of people.
That's egregious.
The best performance in the film.
I forgot.
Let's be honest.
But yes, it's crazy. It's nonsensical, but it does not matter to anybody but us.
Yes.
In talking about
they don't care.
Well, and the actors.
Yeah.
Yes, but
they're publicists. They're agents.
The SAG members that are voting are not going to analyze.
No, they won't. You're right.
Barbie,
if
they don't have them.
If Tom Conti's not in, I'm out. You know what I mean?
I'm boycotting
Kingsley Ben-Adir, I'm out. You know what I mean?
No, Kingsley Ben-Adir, I'm voting for American Fiction instead.
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway, so
you got it down to 3. Yeah.
What am I picking? Yeah.
You're stalling much.
And I'm stalling. I'm very much stalling. Killers, I think that is probably either third or fourth with American Fiction. So then we have Barbie and Oppenheimer. Once again, But what have we seen already this season in these matchups? And that is that Barbie fails to. I knew you're just like waiting for me to say something like that.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about, Eric.
In any real matchups, Oppenheimer beats Barbie.
Yes.
Now, generally, this also is a category with a bend toward casts that are much more diverse culturally than Oppenheimer is. Much, much more.
Even Barbie.
Yeah.
Yes, but Barbie is
pretty diverse.
Considerably more.
Yeah.
Than
I would say Killers would have a better shot if it had more of its cast in it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which, that's something that helps American fiction in a big way.
Yeah.
Like
I do.
hidden figures kind of way.
Yeah.
So maybe American fiction really isn't third or fourth. Maybe it's actually
second.
number 2.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to lean default because I haven't given my official predictions yet, but I would lean to Oppenheimer just as a film that has shown great strength and is going to continue to. But Barbie and American fiction, I wouldn't even say that they would be spoilers. I think they are right there.
Yeah. Dan?
The reason that I think American fiction probably isn't in fourth and isn't third is because of all those audience award prizes it's won. People like that movie and they like it in a lot of different places. And that means that it plays really well. And SAG is, I think, the broadest of all these guilds, except maybe DGA. And because of that broadness, Oppenheimer, exactly what you said, Eric, every time that they go up each other in a real matchup, Oppenheimer ends up coming out on top. The one place where Barbie has come on top was at the box office. And which is why Erik and my team won the most recent box office game.
There we go. I'm still waiting for y'all's pick. We gotta get.
I needed to remind Ryan of the fact that he has once again lost.
No, wait a minute.
Oh yes, because Erik's team won both.
No.
We won last year's winter one.
Oh, the winter one. Okay, I was gonna say, don't you dare. We won the summer one last year.
I know, but just saying.
Yeah, trying to roll up in there. All right, I see what you're doing here. All right, okay. All right.
Love you, Ryan.
I love you too, buddy.
But look, the fact that Barbie was obviously always going to make $1 billion worldwide is aside the point, except for the fact that that can make box office can make a difference here. The fact that it isn't a big film that more people have seen and enjoyed does mean something with this guild in this category. I think that Oppenheimer is too strong of a Best Picture winner to lose here, but I would not be surprised if Barbie does eke out this win, because these are super popular actors in the most popular movie of the past year. And I think on average, they give the Oppenheimer cast, who are also really well liked, a run for their money.
I think that whatever I pick here, it don't matter, because Oppenheimer is already winning Best Picture.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. If American Fiction or Barbie or Killers, which are the other Best Picture nominees that are alongside Oppenheimer in the SAG ensemble, win this category, there are going to be 2 weeks of, well, it won SAG Ensemble, so it's got to mean it's going to win Best Picture, right? And it's not going to mean shit, because the next night will be the PGA, and when the PGA goes to Oppenheimer, like we all predicted it, is done. So we all can just like settle down, because it'll be probably more like 24 hours of hyperbole. That being said, you know, when the Oscar nominations came out, there was the plethora of pieces and online discussion of the Barbie snubs for Greta Gerwig and for Margot Robbie. And a lot of people don't know that they were still nominated, but they were. And yet they weren't nominated in the categories they wanted them nominated for, right? And that's been the running narrative, even with the new Jimmy Kimmel spot that came out for the Oscars this past week. There was even a couple jokes in there about how Greta had director locked up, but she didn't, because she's not nominated. And so it was part of it. And so there's still very much sentiment out there that Barbie is not getting its due, and that it's not but so that's where that wave of contingent could be, along with it being, yes, Dan, the highest grossing film of the year. The number 2 highest grossing film of the year, I believe, is Oppenheimer, which is the overwhelming front runner, which has been dominating both the critics' wins and the industry wins so far. So it has not stopped, and I do not think the train will be stopping anytime soon. It is now, I believe, just as of today, if you look at the number of wins that it is now one of the most rewarded films of all time, both critically and industry-wise. Right up there with last year's winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which won this prize. So you kind of look at it from this, do they go with the sort of populist pick, which they've done in the past, right? I mean, case in point is like something like Black Panther winning that, but the Best Picture winner was not in that SAG ensemble that year in Green Book, right? So you look at it back and forth. Does Oppenheimer need to win this award? No. Does a lot of people think that in their head? No. Could they give Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. their 2 SAG wins, and that's still a very strong day for Oppenheimer, and then obviously would just kind of balance out the loss to any of these other 4 films? Absolutely. Could Giamatti win that? And then, you know, could Oppenheimer just walk away with Robert Downey Jr. here on this night and it still be just in the same place that it was? Yes, because that's exactly, you know, how it could play out. I think that Barbie will win this, and it has been like that for a long time. I think people love this cast. They love, I mean, obviously America Ferrera getting in there at the Oscars was big, and she's been campaigning a lot. I think also Margot Robbie has campaigned a lot. I do wish, though, that more of, I mean, like, it's weird that, like, you know, some of the Kens and some of the other Barbies aren't in the group, but Helen Mirren is. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. It's weird. They're all weird, right? I think it's actually Barbie's kind of to lose, because it is the popular film. It does have the, let's rally behind this and give this something this season. It can have a really great speech, because the only televised speeches that Barbie has given have been for best like, what was
popular film?
What was it, like the
box
golden
office
box
cinematic
office
achievement? Got the Golden
and
Globe.
the other one because Critics' Choice was running ahead, and Chelsea Handler basically was like, let's get him up here for best comedy. That's the only televised speeches that they have given this entire season, because Poor Things in comedy categories has beaten Barbie also straight up as well too, like at Globes. And it did not do well, obviously, at BAFTA. But it has a lot of passion behind it, and it is that very popular film. Maybe I'm also just, you know, I'm also sidelining myself because, you know, we all know Oppenheimer is my favorite film of the year, and I have to kind of separate that a little bit there as well. But I do actually think Barbie can win this, and it be that, okay, we gave them SAG Ensemble, and it's very popular still with the actors, and that doesn't mean that we hate Oppenheimer. But when it comes to the preferential ballot, that will be a different story to tell. And I think that that's where Oppenheimer does a little bit better. I won't think a little bit better, does better, I think, probably, than Barbie. And I think That was how it would win Best Picture. But I'm going to go with Barbie slightly. Though, yeah, I do agree with y'all. American Fiction sitting right there. Very popular film. That screenplay win at BAFTA, would have to take that in consideration as well too. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Anybody? No? Anybody want to dispute that? Okay. Nobody shocked there. All right, cool. Let's do Indie Spirit real quick. Erik, best screenplay at Indie Spirit. We have American Fiction, Birth, Rebirth, Bottoms, The Holdovers, and Past Lives. How do you think the Twitterverse will vote for this?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, calling them the Film Twitter Awards is
please
sure,
the
yes,
Film X Awards.
The
pay $99 to get the Screeners Award.
Yes, the nominations are decided by industry, and winners can be anyone with a Film Independent membership. Which if you listen to the rest of this episode, you can get a lot of people
discount.
So I think maybe it's a close-ish race between Holdovers, American Fiction, and Past Lives. I think Past Lives is going to do extremely well at the top. So maybe it will miss here because it won't be a big old sweep for the film. So I think maybe it is actually between Holdovers and American Fiction. But Holdovers missed a whole bunch of weird places, and so did Fiction. It's just nothing lines up, which is always one of the super fun and frustrating things about Spirit Awards is that things just kind of don't make sense. And then you also have things in first screenplay that,
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. I will lean the Holdovers here, but obviously Past Lives and American Fiction are right there.
And I can confirm David Hemmingson is a real person, because I know that people have been kind of wondering about that online. So
he is. I met him. He's wonderful.
He's a very nice guy. Yeah. Dan?
Yeah.
Best screenplay?
I think this is actually, if it's not Past Lives, I think this is American Fiction.
Okay.
But right now I'm still sticking with Past Lives.
I'm going with Past Lives. People love that movie. There's a lot of passion for Past Lives. Holdovers has, I think, more passion than American Fiction in terms of, like, what you see online. You know what I mean? I think American Fiction is a little bit more of like the industry film, as opposed to like everybody loves the Holdovers and everybody loves Past Lives. So I think Holdovers is the spoiler there, but I think it'll go to Past Lives. Best first screenplay, The Chronicles of Wandering Saint, May, December, The Starling Girl, Theater Camp, and Upon Entry. Dan?
I first want to say that because I know I'm one of maybe 5 people on the planet who has seen Upon Entry, and it is freaking fantastic. Like 70, 80-minute, tight as a drum thriller about a couple going through border security at a United States airport. It's so well done, and I was so happy that it got best first screenplay and first feature nominations here. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But I think this is May, December.
Yeah. Erik?
Yeah, I think it's May, December as well, and largely because of visibility and a voting body that is what it is.
Yeah, I am going with May, December, but look out for Theater Camp. That's the spoiler in this.
I would be so happy if Theater Camp won this, you guys.
I mean, I'd be happy too, but I don't think Theater Camp is the spoiler here.
Oh, what do you think What do you think is?
You think it's Starling Girl?
I think it's any number of the other 3: Upon Entry, Starling Girl, or Chronicles of Wandering Saint, but probably Starling Girl.
Yeah. I just go on.
The one thing that does happen, obviously, when you are a Film Independent member, is that you
watch them.
screeners. You have the chance to see them in a way that you otherwise might never, because you live in Nebraska or whatever. But
shout out to Nebraska. Shout out to the theaters in Nebraska.
No
shade in Nebraska. Yeah. Sorry, Cornhuskers.
It also is entirely dependent on the studio getting the screeners to film independent to them.
Yeah, like Zone of Interest, I don't believe got to any of the film independent.
A handful of things were much later than other things.
Yes, absolutely. And people were upset. But we've seen them. So that's good. Best first feature. Alder Rose Taste of Salt, Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, Earth Mama, 1001, and Upon Entry. I think this is probably going to be 1001.
It got a lot of nominations elsewhere. It's 1001.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fervor over the film and Tana Taylor not getting much due with critics and industry should push it over here.
Yeah,
it should. Alder Rhodes deserves to win. But
yes, it does.
It's a great lineup.
Great
lineup. Yeah,
Alder should totally win it. It's a fantastic movie. Best supporting performance. This is where they do the 10 nominees, right? And and so it's just one supporting performance win here. So Eric Alexander for American Fiction, Starley K. Brown, American Fiction, Noah Galvin for Theater Camp, Anne Hathaway for Eileen, Glenn Howerton for Blackberry. That's where that campaign ended. Marvin Ireland for Eileen, Charles Milton for May December, Dave Enjoy Randolph the Holdovers. What is that?
Catalina Saavedra.
Catalina
Saavedra.
They get Verraten in the Sun and Ben Wishaw for Passages. God,
what a category! What a category!
I love it. I love this category because it's like, it's not just the same 5 names we've been reading in both of these categories for the last 2 months. That being said, who's going to win this category? Erik?
This should be Dave Enjoy Randolph.
God damn it!
She's going to win.
Damn it!
I mean, duh. But I have to say how much I love Marin Ireland's nomination here more than any nomination here of anyone on the supporting performance list.
Brilliant.
Absolutely inspired. Great. I mean, this is kind of what the Spirit Awards are really.
It's kind of why you want the Spirit Awards to
do this.
Yeah,
because Anne Hathaway is sort of like an easy get here. She is almost not really a Coley, but she is a significant supporting performance. Marin Ireland basically has one scene, and it is
she rocks it.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's the scene that makes the movie. She's incredible.
Great scene. Wish the rest of the movie, for me at least, was
okay. Nobody asked you that.
I'm just saying, didn't like that movie all the way, but I love that scene.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but it's a really good lineup overall. It's a really fun lineup. It's missing a few people from a movie that I think should be here.
Which one, Erik?
Movie.
Which one,
Don't
Erik?
say from a movie that should be here. I wonder what it could possibly be.
I know. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have double nominations from 2 movies, and one of them is not All of Us Strangers,
what the fuck are we doing?
But it's a great lineup. It's a gorgeous lineup.
I love the Eric Alexander nomination.
Yeah,
she's the only one from the movie that actually deserves the nomination.
Oh,
yep,
wow,
agreed.
Sorry,
agreed.
The best part
that's just so mean to Jeffrey Wright. He's so.
I mean, except for Tracy Ellis Ross, but rip.
Yeah. Couldn't handle that Chardonnay she was drinking, I guess, in the film.
No.
Anyway, Dan, did you pick?
I actually, given that, as we've mentioned, this is the Film Twitter Awards, I think this is actually going to go to Charles Melton.
Ooh, yeah. Little snubbage. Yeah. Interesting. It is interesting because, though, depending on what thread you're looking on the old X, That whole movie has a ton of problems, evidently. But I love that movie, and I've been on the record saying Charles.
Nobody voting for this is on that side.
Yeah, no.
Of history,
no.
It's not an issue.
On that side of history, is that what you said, Eric?
Yes. The wrong side.
I mean, it very much. I mean, yeah, it feels like Milton won. What did he win? The Gotham, and then that was kind of it. Along with some critics' prizes, obviously, for sure.
He was doing fantastic.
He won his path.
He won New York too. That's right.
Yeah, he won New York.
The critics. That's what I'm saying. He won some critics' prizes. He was doing great.
He was doing great, and then it just.
And he got this stopped. At the time too. He got this nom at the time too.
December. So.
Yeah. It wasn't in May. It was in December, and. But I think that also it always blew my mind that they didn't give Toni Collette the win. They ended up giving it to Glenn Close for the wife. And that is and it's like, okay, well then how much is it really the online awards? But then I don't know, there was some different ones. I'm going to go with Randolph, but I would love it. Yeah. Nothing more than to see Charles Milton, the best performance of the year, in one last thing. Best lead performance.
Are we not doing Breakthrough?
Oh, okay. Eric, you want to read Breakthrough?
Also a great category. Yeah. Marshawn Lynch, Bottoms, totally inspired.
Oh my God.
Inspired.
Adibon Nazaire, Mountains, Tia Namor, Earth Mama, Dominic Sosa, Holdovers, Anita Walizada, Fremont.
I love this category.
It's so cool, but I mean,
it's Dominic
Sosa. R.I.P. to anyone who's not Dominic Sosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His little sad face at the BAFTAs today, too, that people caught. It's not like, I don't want to be at the BAFTAs. It's him. It should be Marshawn Lynch. That'd be a great fucking one.
I love that nomination.
Look, Tia Nomore is incredible in Earth Mama. The way she's able to express incredibly difficult, complex emotions just on her face for never having acted before. I was blown away.
Yeah.
It's a good list.
Dominic Sessa is going to win that.
Yeah, right. It's going to be Dominic Sessa.
Best lead performance, Jessica Chastain, Memory, Greta Lee, Past Lives. Trace Lissette. Sorry, for Monica. Natalie Portman, May December. Judy Reyes for Birth Rebirth, Franz Rosagowski for Passages, Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers, Tiana Taylor, 1001, Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, and Teo Yu for Past Lives. Dan, I'll start with you.
Oh.
Sorry, I went with Eric last time.
Thanks.
I mean, I can go.
I'm gonna go. It's just Eric, forgive me, but I think this is going to be Andrew Scott.
Oh, no. I don't think he can handle that.
Hope it is.
I hope it is, too. It could go
This list is incredibly difficult to pick.
It could go down a number of paths.
I could see it going to Jeffrey Wright. I could see it. I could see people saying "fuck everybody" and giving it to Tiana Taylor, or even Franz Rogowski.
I could see them going Greta Lee.
I could easily see them going Greta Lee. I could see Past Lives sweeping and winning everything it's nominated for. I could also see it just winning for feature director, screenplay, just all Celine. But I keep coming back to this is the Film Twitter Awards, and everyone I know who has made the time to see All of Us Strangers keeps talking about that performance and how it's ridiculous that he hasn't gotten any love. And I think that's the kind of buzz that can build towards a win.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm allowing myself a little bit too much hope, but this is the last chance.
This is the last stand for Andrew Scott. Because that movie got a ton of BAFTA nominations, but again, he wasn't part of that party. But he killed on the red carpet, though. So, Eric,
This is such a crazy category because we've got 10 names, 1 Oscar nominee.
Oh, yeah, that is
one.
right. Yeah.
Only one.
Half
Two
of
on
the
the other
rest are a list of here are the biggest Oscar snubs of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, for real, this list is insane. Between Greta Lee, Teyana Taylor, Teo Yo, Andrew Scott,
and Trace Lysette too.
Yes, I mean less so
on a smaller level, but yeah.
Yes, but so many of these names are the ones that people were screaming on January 23rd. And it makes actually for one of the more difficult, I think, of this whole year and in a long time, because there isn't. I mean, Jeffrey Wright as a winner doesn't actually make very much sense at all.
I don't know. I don't know.
As the default Oscar nominee. So that puts a lot of camps and allegiances on the line here, because they're people that are passionate about Teyana Taylor or Trace Lysette or Greta Lee or Andrew Scott or Teo Yo. Those are passionate people.
Portman
Wachowski too.
Yeah. People love it. Natalie Portman in that movie.
Yeah,
and they love that movie.
Yeah, they love that movie. I think
Rogowski a little less. They really liked May December. Again, different voting bodies for nominations and winners. I don't think anyone that's going to win this is going to win by a very big margin. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be real close.
These are very popular performances amongst people that, see lots of things. Oh my God. I think I would rather hang from a tree than try and pick.
Well, I think Ryan may be able to arrange that for you.
and I know.
Bring in the tree.
So, oh God.
Just pick something.
Teyana Taylor makes so much sense as a winner.
I would love that too.
So does Trace Lysette.
That's great.
I think that's who I will predict. I think I will actually predict Teyana Taylor, but that's only because I'm not going to predict Andrew Scott, because I'm tired of being fucking Lucied and being Charlie Brown over here. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. So
I'm sorry, Erik. I'm sorry.
No, but you're kind of doing what I did a little bit.
If Scott does win, then I can be super, super happy and excited.
Yeah. That's what I did a little bit with Oppenheimer and SAG. It's like SAG Ensemble. Yes, I'd like it to win. Is it but when I'm pulling between it's really a close race, I'll just hedge my bet a little bit and just go with if I get the prediction right, it's great. If it's wrong and my favorite wins, then that's even better. I have no idea how to pick this category. I am going to go with Greta Lee. And I think because
if I had to pick a second, she would be my second.
I think it's not even just because the film's done so well. She, of all the people here, was one of the people mentioned the most when we were talking about the snubs. And we were talking about why didn't that get in, or why didn't it get more from a movie that got into Best Picture and a movie that people loved. And it was one of the best films of the year and is led primarily by that wonderful performance. And so I think Teyana Taylor could win. I think Andrew Scott could win. I'm going to go with Greta Lee. I think that one just kind of makes sense. I think I'm going to go with that. That's what I'll do.
I mean, this is only the second year of these.
Last year was just
combined. Yeah.
Last year was easy. It was just it was just everything everywhere all at once. Just give it to
it won everything. But
I don't know. So we'll see. Best director: Andrew Hay, All of Us Strangers. Todd Haynes, May December. William Oldroyd for Eileen. Sorry, I don't want to keep calling it Elaine.
Come on, Eileen.
Ira Sachs for Passages, and Celine Song for Past Lives. Erik. Who wins Best Director?
Celine Song.
Okay. Dan, you in agreement?
Celine Song.
Yeah.
Should go to Todd Haynes, but it won't.
I have not counted Todd Haynes out completely. You can never count out that kind of legend in this field, I feel like. But
guy never wins
Celine
anything.
Song. I know.
Everything in his movies or his actresses or everybody else wins stuff. Guy never wins anything. Also
bad for him.
Pretty
easy number 2.
Honestly. Yeah. Celine Song I'm going to go with for past lives. All right, Best Feature, and then we're out of here. All the Strangers, American Fiction, May, December, Passages, Past Lives, and We Grow Now. Erik, Past Lives.
Past Lives.
Dan.
Yep. Past Lives.
Past Lives for me. If there's a number 2, what would it be? Well,
All the Strangers.
All the Strangers.
I guess, but
yeah, it doesn't feel like there's a number 2, is there?
No, because when I look at the list, I don't have anything on here winning anything else other than May, December winning
screenplay.
Well, maybe
screenplay.
Yeah, well, maybe it's May, December.
So by default, May, December would sort of have to be my number 2.
But Dan got to pick Andrew Scott, so he gets to go and say All of Us Strangers. See,
yeah.
I'm just lining up the football for you, Lucy. That's all.
Yeah.
Eric's like, fuck you, Ryan. All right, we're going to get out of here. Dan, can you tell everybody where we can find you and all your work on the internet?
Of course. You can find me on Twitter, I guess, for now, as Dance and Dan on Film. You can find me on Letterboxd and post at Dance and Dan. And please check out my writing at Next Best Picture and AwardsWatch.
Erik Anderson.
You can find me at awardswatch.com and on Twitter at awards_watch, AwardsWatch everywhere else. Next week, I will be at the Spirit Awards. I will be at the PGA Awards. I'll be at SAG Awards, sort of. We'll see how that exactly turns out. Yeah. But yeah, so I will at least be boots on the ground through most of next weekend's absolutely maniacal onslaught of awarding.
Give us all the tea, Erik.
As much tea as I can.
Stake yourself outside the ladies' room and tell us everything.
Yep.
Well, if you see Erik out there, go and say hello to him. He loves when people just run up to him randomly and say hello at events. So just give him a big hug. Don't even introduce yourself. Just give him a big old hug and just be like, Erik, I listened to the show and Ryan told me what to do. No, Eric's going to go have a bunch of fun next week. He won't be here, sadly. But we'll have all of our reactions next week. But you can find all of Eric's coverage along with my work on awardswatch.com. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade77. If you like other podcasts, we have the Director Watch podcast, and we're in the middle of a William Friedkin movie series. And this week's episode, if I can remember what week it is, I believe it's Blue Chips this week. That's great. Where Jay and I talk about a bunch of basketball, which I'm sure Erik would love to post that on our podcast feed. It's a basketball movie, so we got a bunch of takes on there. Anyway, go listen to that series. It's been a lot of fun. That releases every Thursdays. Of course, this releases every Monday. iTunes, Spotify, 5 stars, greatly appreciated. Also, while you're on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. It's where you can get all of our wonderful work sent to you twice a week. Erik puts that all together. He does a lot of work, so just appreciate it a little bit. That would be great. Next week.
Also this week, we are going to have a If We Pick the Oscars feature where we all pick a single category award that we would like to see win of the Oscar nominees. Yeah.
I wonder, listeners, if you can guess what I wrote about this week. Anyway, just curious what I wrote about.
Spoiler alert, Ryan has picked War is Over for Best Animated Short.
I actually was just getting the jump on next year and writing about Madam Web winning Best Picture. kind of the cinematic masterpiece already of 2024. Sorry, Dune, get out of the way. It's Dakota's year.
I could have sworn I saw that Ryan was writing up Golda for best hair and makeup.
You know what? You know that's coming. Anyway, next week's show, we will react to SAG and PGA, but it won't be final predictions. We're just going to give our reactions to those. And then the following week, we'll do our final predictions leading up to the Oscars. But then something else we'll reveal is also our reactions to this little movie coming out by Denis Villeneuve called Dune Part 2. And it will be myself and Sophia Simonello and Jay Ledbetter. Maybe it'll turn into a director watch episode. You never kind of know how the back half of that episode's going to be. Might be fun and chaotic. You should listen to it. Thank you all so much for listening. And we'll see you all next time.